Our job really is to publish bills and process payments, take in outside scholarships and 529 payment plan payments. And basically, it's the customer service arm of the university when it comes to your Bursar account. So I'm going to cover a number of things here, and I'm going to go not too fast, but I'm going to keep clipping along. It might be to your benefit to take notes. It'll get you into the habit of taking notes in a college class and trying to keep up. And some of this stuff, I would say absolutely all of it is very valuable information, because anything in the Bursar's office is valuable. So let's talk about where we're located. The Bursar's office is located in the Musketeer mezzanine. If you've been on campus, this is an area that is attached to the Fenwick dorm, which is where the cafeteria is. And it's also, we share a space with the registrar's office, residence life, and auxiliary services, which is responsible for meal plans and the all card. Our hours are Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5. This is both in the summer, fall, and spring. And anything that can really be done in our office can be done online. So if you ever have anything that you need to have done, it's best to go to xavier.edu/Bursar and take a look around. Odds are, whatever it is you need, if it's a question answered or a form that you need or something you need to do online, you can do it there. xavier.edu/Bursar. I point out the frequently asked questions section is probably a great place for you to go if you want to learn probably more than your colleagues once you get here to school. I want to preface tonight's talk with this, and that is I'm passionate about helping you to be different when you get out in 4 years than when you came in. If you are not different and you're the same at 22 as you are at 17 or 18, then shame on you and shame on me. We need to work together to make you different. And when you are different, then I become different. And the staff becomes different. So please interact with our office. Please take responsibility for your Bursar account. If you're one of those students who likes to give everything to mom, to dad, grandma, grandpa to do, I would encourage you not to do that anymore. And I'd encourage you to be proactive, to lead courageously, take responsibility, because those are the things that are going to help you to be different. Those are the things that are going to help you to mature and to transition from boyhood to manhood or girl to womanhood. And that is what I've seen work for so many students, is when they are willing to take on more responsibility and basically drive the bus for their Bursar account. So mom and dad might have access to your Bursar account, but you're the one who's saying, hey mom, hey dad, I need more money because I have a payment due coming up, or I've got this that needs to get done. It gives them a break, gives them the ability to sort of check things out when they get a chance instead of being so concerned and being primary on their account. So let's talk about payments, the kinds of payments we accept. I did mention 529 plan payments. Some parents have been saving in a 529 plan, which is an educational savings program, savings account, if you will. This is usually done through a third-party provider. And up until this year, and I would say probably in the next 2 weeks, we will have the ability for you or your parent to go online and make an online 529 payment. There will be a drop-down box, and hopefully the majority of the plans will be listed there, and you or your parent will be able to select the provider and enter the information that's required, and the money will electronically transfer from the 529 plan to the student's Bursar account. And in the past, and what's currently happening now until this gets set up in the next couple of weeks, is the 529 plan just simply sends a check to our office and we process that check, which can still be done, it's not a problem. Just make sure that your name and your student ID number are associated with that check in some way. We also accept online payments. We've got two forms of payment online. One is by credit card, where we accept MasterCard, Visa, American Express, and Discover. There's a 2.75% convenience fee. So anything that you charge, multiply that by 2.75%, and that's how much the convenience fee is. We don't get that. The merchant processor does. You can also pay by electronic check. The e-check, you just enter the routing number and account number. It's just like Amazon or any other online payment, and there are no additional charges by paying by for paying by e-check. The other thing that you, all right, let me finish with the payments. You can also mail in checks, of course, mail in cashier's checks or money orders. You can come into the office to pay by check or cash during our open office hours. One of the other things that occurs when you come to campus is, again, this goes along with this transition from childhood to adulthood, and that is you have a right to your privacy. And you may have heard about this before, but there is something called FERPA, which is the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. This is a federal regulation. The government says if you are on a college campus and you have matriculated from high school to college, you now have a right to your privacy. This does not mean that you have to be of legal age. So you could be 17 years old, 16 years old, here on campus, and you still have a right to your privacy. So if you want to have a parent, a guardian, a grandparent, a friend, somebody else have access to your Bursar account information, or sometimes we get involved in talking about financial aid information, which we really aren't financial aid office, but we have a little bit of information about that. You can complete the FERPA form online and submit it to us. Now, I've been working with a guy named Sparks in the admission office, and he is about this close to getting an online FERPA form ready for you on the road to Xavier, whereby you can log into Road to Xavier, you can find the online FERPA form, you can enter the person's name who you want to grant access to your financial information. You also list the relationship you have with that person. Is it a parent, a guardian, a grandparent? And you submit it, and we will save that electronically so that when that person, if that person were to call up, stop by, or write an email in and want information about your Bursar account, we'll give it to them once we see that FERPA on file. You can also go to xavier.edu/Bursar. On the left-hand side, there is a forms link, and there is a PDF of the FERPA form. If you're the student, you can just complete Part A, sign it, send it in to us, scan it, fax it, whatever you want, mail it in, and we're happy to attach that to your account. There's a second way that we also prefer to have you give authorization for a parent, a guardian, or somebody else to have access to your financial information, and that is by logging into the e-payment site. This is the online payment site, which you access through the Student Hub. So does everybody have access to the Student Hub?
Yes.
At this point, great. So at this point, you should be transitioning into the Student Hub, and if you have not already, start becoming very familiar with it, because eventually the road to Xavier will close down sometime in September, I would think.
Yes.
And the Student Hub, once you start school, is really going to be your center point. That's going to be what you're going to be using to connect with your classmates, your teachers, and anything else to do with Xavier. But there is an icon in there called Pay Bill. And once you log into the Student Hub and click on Pay Bill, the landing page is going to be the Xavier University e-payment site. And that's where you're going to be able to make online payments. You're going to be able to set up authorized users. So this would be another form of FERPA where you allow somebody else to have access to this landing page that shows your balance, helps them to see a payment plan or a rolling payment plan, look at a bill. Anytime somebody's an authorized user, they will get notified when a bill is published, just like you, the student, would get notified when a bill is published. So get online, do that authorized user, get online, and hopefully in a couple of days, you'll see that FERPA through Road to Xavier, where you can do it through the Bursar's website. Payment plans, there are really two ways to pay. I'm going to back up here, just to give you some context as to how we operate. Every 15th of the month, now granted, it might be the 14th or the 13th or the 12th, depending upon when the 15th of the month falls. So if it falls on a Monday holiday, we're going to publish a bill on the previous business day. So that's going to be on a Friday, which will be the 12th. So I'm just going to call it all the 15th. Middle of the month, on or about the 15th, we're going to publish an electronic bill. We don't mail bills out in the mail. When we publish a bill, later that evening, you and any authorized user will get an email saying a bill has been published and it's ready to be viewed. I would encourage you to always look at your bill. You want to review it to make sure that the charges are appropriate and any payments have been posted, whether it's an outside scholarship or financial aid or a payment that somebody made for you. So if you think about the 15th here, the bill is published. 2 weeks later, on the 1st of the next month, is the due date. And 2 weeks after that, on or about the 14th of every month, we assess a late fee. So there is a grace period between the 1st of the month and roughly the 14th for you to get your payment in. 15th of the month of July, for instance, that's going to be the first bill for the fall semester. That's this Friday. That's going to get published. Late Friday, you should get an email, and any authorized user will get an email saying the bill is published. The first payment is due August 1st, and on August 14th, we'll assess a late fee if the August 1st payment has not been made. Now, I will say this is sort of where this is the scary part a little bit. It's not really scary. It's just important for you to know. On August 8th, I believe it is, if you have not made your August 1st payment, then we're going to send you an email that says you're at risk of getting your classes canceled. So the best thing to do is to make your payment on time for the August payment, and that way you're going to be all set up and ready to go, and you won't get that email that has concern for your well-being here at Xavier. And then you're going to just move on, and August 15th is going to be the next bill, and September 1st is going to be the next payment. And that's just how our cycle works. Every 15th bill, every first payment, every 14th late fee, every 15th bill, and it goes on. So 2 ways to pay: payment in full. If you do not sign up for a payment plan, then the bill that's generated on Friday, July 15th, you want to pay the balance in full. And every 15th, when a bill is generated, you want to look at the bill, and if there's a balance due, you want to pay that balance. Now, I heard somebody out there say, well, if I paid the bill in full in July, by August 1st, what other charges am I going to have August 15th on the bill? Well, some people get parking citations. Some people get a library fine. Some people go to the health center, have strep throat, they've got to have a culture done, and that might be a small charge that's put on the Bursar account. So these miscellaneous charges can show up. Sometimes somebody's going to change a meal plan, or they might go from a double to a single, or a single to a double, and that's going to change things on your Bursar account. Therefore, it's going to change it on the bill. If you're on the payment in full plan, which is just simply paying the balance in full every month, you want to check your bill every month so you avoid late fees. The second way to pay is through the payment plan. There is something called the X-Flex payment plan. It's a 4-payment plan, and that means that it takes your balance and subtracts out any financial aid that we know about already, and the remaining balance is divided by 4 and divided up over 4 months: August, September, October, and November. There's a $50 enrollment fee into that plan. The best time to sign up for that plan is now, because there is no payment that is due. No payment is due until August 1st. If you wait and sign up for the plan after August 1st, or I would say August 1st and after, then you'll be forced to get caught up. It will force you to make that August 1st payment. If you sign up for the plan in September, then you're going to have to make 2 payments. But you got to be really careful about that, because you might be at risk of class cancellation for that August 8th cancellation. So just pay attention to your Xavier email. We send everything through Xavier email. That's our main communication channel. And that's where you're going to best be notified of things that are going on. So I think that's pretty much about the payment plan. When you do sign up, you do see a schedule of payments. It'll say, here are the 4 payments, here are the due dates. Now, if something changes on your bill, the amount goes down or goes up, those payments will go down and go up accordingly. It's very flexible. Another thing I want to talk about is refunds. Many people get financial aid. So if you think of it like this, the Bursar's office will prepare your bill, and on your bill, when you register for classes, it brings your balance from 0 up to here. Let's call it $25,000. The financial aid office is at the same time working to put together your financial aid package, and their package might come up to here. So the difference that you have to pay out of pocket is going to be this difference right there. Sometimes, though, the financial aid will come up to right there, and it's going to, basically, you've got nothing to pay because the financial aid covered it all, probably close to the penny. I see that very rarely. What I see more often, though, is either this, where there's still money to be paid, or I see this, where the financial aid exceeds the amount that has been charged. In this case, this is called an overpayment or a credit balance. And what we do every week in our office, we process refunds on a Wednesday, every Wednesday. We look at accounts that have a credit balance, and we will refund that overpayment back to the student, back to our customer. So it's important for parents to keep track of these things, and it's important for students to keep track of this. Because you're getting money back, that money should be well spent. And what I mean by that is spent for books, or spent by putting it into a savings account and saving it for the next semester. You want to borrow as little as possible, because anything that you borrow, you're going to have to pay back. Grants, scholarships, awards, those are free money. You don't pay that back. Loans, you pay back, whether it's a Parent Plus loan or a Stafford loan, subsidized or unsubsidized. So try and borrow as little as possible. It's a great habit to get into, so that when you get out in 8 semesters, then you have as little to pay back as possible. There's been an awful lot written in the news about student debt, and the people who can help keep that student debt down, I'm looking at you, right there. Mike, playing Pokemon. You guys can take responsibility and try and borrow as little as possible. So if this summer you're working and you're earning money, save it. Don't spend it. Do not spend your money. I can't tell you the number of students I talk to when I ask them, what did you do over the summer? Oh, I worked. So how much money are you putting towards your Bursar account? Well, I spent all the money I made. Ooh, those are pretty nice gym shoes you have on there. That's where their money goes. So your parents would be thrilled to see that you have some skin in the game besides just the loans. If your parents are working to make these monthly payments, then I would say you need to work too towards that. If you're going to be working on campus during the semester, which you can do, then have a portion of your payment, your paycheck, come into the Bursar's office to pay your account balance. Your parents would be thrilled. That's what I mean about taking on the responsibility, because when you get out at 22, there are going to be bills to pay. And this is a great way to practice that. So, parents, this is about keeping track of what's going on with your student's account. Any overpayment goes back to my customer, who is the student. I know who's paying the bill oftentimes. Parents tell me, well, they're paying the bills. I get that. But in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of our Bursar account, the name on the account is the student, and it's not the parent. Let's talk about processing fees with financial aid. Financial aid might tell you that you get a $1,000 scholarship Oftentimes, financial aid talks in terms of an academic year. My office always talks in terms of a semester. So if they say, financial aid says you get a $1,000 scholarship, it's not $1,000 for the fall and $1,000 for the spring. It's probably $500 for the fall and $500 for the spring. So make sure that you're talking the same language. Don't assume that the $1,000 they're talking about is every semester. It might be for the academic year. So clarify that as you go along. Likewise, you might see on a financial aid award letter that you're going to get, making up the number, $2,450 in the way of a student loan, a Stafford loan. Well, that's a very round number, and that's perfect. But those loans, the Department of Education withholds a small percentage for administrative costs. So you're not going to get that exact amount on your bill as a payment. So if you're trying to pay exactly down to the penny, be aware that any loan that's dispersed by the financial aid office that comes from the government, sometimes from alternative loans, but mostly from the government, there's going to be a small amount that's withheld. When you have an unsubsidized loan, that means that the government does not pay the interest for you while you're in school. So you have a loan that accrues interest, it's earned, it's charging you interest, but if I remember right, when my kids went to school, they didn't have to pay that interest. I have triplet boys, and those boys are now grown, and they went to 3 different colleges in 3 different states, but they had unsubsidized loans and subsidized loans. The unsubsidized loan, as I said, the government doesn't pay the accruing interest. So every quarter, every 3 months, I would get it home by mail, snail mail, not email, I'm sure it's email by now, a letter that says, addressed to one of my sons saying, your loan accrued $222 of interest over the last 3 months. And it said this is not a bill on that statement, but it looked just like a statement. And so what I did is I contacted my son and I said, do you want to pay it? Do you want me to pay it? Or do you want to partner on it? And we made that decision, they made that decision, and I would do whatever it is. But the point is that every time we got a quarterly accrual of interest on an unsubsidized loan, we paid it. So that after 8 semesters, the only thing the student, my son had to pay was the principal amount and not the accrued interest. So these are things that you can do to help minimize the amount of debt that you have when you get out of school. It was a lot easier for my kids and me to come up with a couple of $100 every 3 months or so than wait 8 semesters to have all of that accrued interest lumped onto the principal amount, the amount that was originally borrowed. So see if you can pay any accrued interest as you go along. We talked about bill dates, due dates, late fee. You're going to notice when you click on Pay Bill inside the Student Hub, that little icon, you're going to go to that landing page I talked about, which is the e-payment site. If you haven't already, you'll notice that there are notes associated with the fall semester. And that's before you get down to the bottom of the page where you can see your balance, and look at your transactions, look at your bill, and all those kinds of things. It's really in your best interest to read that information. That information, one in particular, is highlighted in yellow, and that is about waiving the mandatory health insurance charge that goes onto your Bursar account. So every fall semester, as long as Xavier is in this business, the McGrath Health and Wellness Center is going to send the information to my office that will put a charge onto your Bursar account for major medical health insurance for that kind of policy. Premium for a major medical health insurance policy. The Board of Trustees here at Xavier, they want you to be covered by a major medical health insurance plan when you come to campus. Most people are already covered by a major medical health insurance, either through Obamacare because they went out into the marketplace and bought it, or it's through a parent's employer's major medical health insurance plan. If that's the case, all you have to do is waive that fee. That fee this fall is $2,350. If you let that thing go and you don't waive it and you don't need it, it's another one of those moments where you and I are going to have a chat. because you are spending $2,350 of probably somebody else's money for the most part. It might be yours through a loan for no good reason. So read, read, read. I know in this day and age it's very difficult to read all the material and people breeze through things, but it can be costly if you don't. You can go out there right now and waive that insurance. It takes about 3 days or so for that credit to come off of your account. So if you go to the e-payment site and you click on the link below your balance that says click here to see transactions from the last eBill, well, you never had an eBill yet, but all of your transactions will be there. You'll see a chart there for $2,350. If you want to get that off, then go and do the waiver. You have until September 15th, at which point you won't be able to waive it again. And the McGrath Health and Wellness Center shows no mercy because you've been warned. Consider yourself warned. So that's the health insurance. $2,350. Very important to waive that. The note here I have is I just said it, read. If you have not read the material, read it. If you have, and hopefully, how many of you feel a little fear about coming to school? Raise your hand. How many people will raise their hands? A lot?
Yep, I've got 2 so far.
2 so far. There are more than
There's
that.
3. The rest of them are hiding.
Yes, you're hiding your fear. It is very normal to be afraid about coming to college and making that transition from high school to college. I can't encourage you enough to enjoy the journey, to study hard, because your first year, your GPA your first year sets the tone for the remaining 3 years. If you think your 4 years of high school went fast, your 4 years of college are going to fly by, and you're going to be done in no time. It may not seem like that, but it's so important for you to be ready to study, up your game about studying, and study with people who are going to encourage you and help to hold you accountable, and you do the same to them. But this requires you to read. Read the material on Bursar's website. Click on the frequently asked questions at xavier.edu/Bursar and learn what you need to learn, because I think if you learn it, then you're going to have less fear about it, and you're going to be able to calm your parents and give them less fear about it, because you might be the first one going to college, the first one going to Xavier here, and each school tends to be a little bit different in how they work things. So if you read, take the time to read it, you're going to know it, and it's going to be a breeze. I think the last thing I've got here is something important, and that is about, I talked to you about your Xavier email address being the primary communication channel here at Xavier. It's so important for so many reasons for you to check it starting now, even when you come to campus, even when you're buried in homework, check it. Especially now, because the financial aid office is going through loans and things like this, and they're looking for people who have been approved for a government loan but have not signed electronically online the master promissory note. Along with the master promissory note is the entrance counseling. So let me just explain. The master promissory note, or NPN as some people call it, is a note. It's just like a bank note. If your folks or you walk into a bank and say, I want to take a car loan, or you go to the dealership and say, I want a car loan, you're signing a master promissory note. You have to pay for that vehicle over a period of time. The loans by the government expect you to do the same thing. Signing a master promissory note is a promise to pay. You promise to pay the government back. Along with that is an entrance counseling that's done online. And all the entrance counseling does is it tells in plain English what it is that you're doing with the master promissory note. They're telling you that it's a loan, that you have to pay it back, that there are going to be some options for you to pay it back. You're going to do an exit counseling when you leave the university. You are going to be required to do an exit counseling for the government that says the same thing. You took this loan, you have this loan, you have to pay it back because the government wants you to pay back your student loans. So I will say that there are certain things that can take place in the Bursar's office. If you're an athlete, it can take place in the athletic office, from the athletic office. The advising can do the same thing, but different departments can put a hold on your Bursar account, and those holds do certain things. Some of them may not do anything. They may just be informational. We have one in our office that's just informational. You might see a hold on your account, but it doesn't really block anything because we use it to identify certain populations of students. But other holds will block registration of classes. It'll block you getting your diploma when you graduate. It'll block transcripts if you need it for a job, or you go someplace else where you won't, because once you're here, you're here. So if you have a hold, it is not the end of the world. If you get a warning that your classes are going to be at risk of being canceled in August, it's not the end of the world. All you have to do is don't call mom and dad. Come into our office, call our office, email our office, and we will work with you to get you through this. So holds aren't a bad thing. We have limited staff. We can't always make the call, the personal call to every individual, but we do send out emails. If you're paying attention to the emails, it just means contact us. And I just said something that reminded me of a story. There was a young lady who she got an email that she was at risk of cancellation. Her class is getting canceled. And what she did is she called her dad, and she told her dad, they're going to cancel my classes. And she was, rightly so, his little girl. And so he called up. That's what he sounded like on the phone. And all I could do is talk to him and tell him what was going on. And it turns out she had not done anything. She had not signed up for a payment plan. She had not signed up her dad as an authorized user. She had not signed him up to, even just on the FERPA form alone, had not told him where to go to get the questions answered. So he was in the dark thinking that she was going to handle it all, and she didn't. And so she, for whatever reason, just didn't do it. So let me just encourage you, if you feel fear, it's great. Step into the fear, learn, and the fear will dissipate. It will go away. You'll know so much more. You can tell your folks what needs to get done. You can call our office, my office staff. We are very friendly people. We want to help you. We want to help educate you on these things. It's going to be a little bit of a steep learning curve, but learn it now before you come to school. It's easier than when you get to school and you're trying to learn it all right then. That's about all I got. I might have a few other things, but for me, it's pretty good.
Okay, sounds good. Well, as you can imagine, we have lots of questions.
Do you?
We do.
I thought I answered.
Not yet.
Okay.
So our first question is from Robert, and he's wondering if his son's FSL has gone through. Obviously, we can't tell him that, but do you know how he would find that out?
Do you know what an FSL is?
I don't.
Right. Do you know?
Okay.
Federal student loan?
It could be.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with FSL, but I would say it's probably a federal student loan. To know whether or not that has gone through, there's a couple of ways that I can take that. If you or your student have completed the FAFSA, and the FAFSA has gone through to the financial aid office, and the financial aid office completed a financial aid award letter, which I think can be found on Road to Xavier.
It can on the Money Matters tab.
Okay, Money Matters tab. Then you're going to see that this is the loan package or the financial aid award package that the financial aid office is giving your student. So odds are the FAFSA went through. Now the loan won't go through onto your student's account unless your student has signed electronically online the master promissory note and done the entrance counseling, and that is done at studentloans.gov. So that is where I would send your student, is studentloans.gov, and make sure that they've done those two things, master promissory note and entrance counseling. That would, to me, ensure that the loan is going to go through. The only caveat would be is if you or your student happen to be selected for what's called verification, where the IRS selects, I think it's 20 or 25% random selection of people who apply for financial aid at all the universities, and they say, prove to us that the information on the FAFSA is correct. Then that takes a little bit longer to get done. But you would know if you were selected for verification. So I would say take a look at, let me think about this. Yeah, you can go into the Bursar's, into the Student Hub, click on the Pay Bill icon, get to that landing page, look at the balance that's there, and compare it to the balance that's on the link right below it. The link that says, click here to view transactions from your last eBill. If the balance on the landing page is smaller than the balance on this link, then it tells me that we are taking into consideration financial aid of some sort. But the only thing it doesn't do is tell me whether or not your student has done the master promissory note and entrance counseling. So during the week of August 15th, when the financial aid office disperses that money onto your student's account, it may not go if they haven't done it. So it's probably best to shoot an email to the financial aid office at xufinaid@xavier.edu and just give them student's name, ID number, and say, could you verify that everything's been done and the loans will disperse in August and nothing more needs to be done. That'd be a big plus. Long answer.
Henry, can you explain what students will be seeing when that first bill is published? Like what information will be there and how can they get to that?
Great. The loans, the e-bills and how to get there. Everything is done through the Student Hub. You get to xavier.edu/students. You're going to see a bunch of icons. You click on the second one from the left top row, it says Pay Bill. When you click on it, you'll have to log in with your username and password, and then you're going to be transported over to CashNet Hire One to their landing page. We partner with them to provide this service, this kind of data, online data for us. So you will be able to see on the right-hand side, if you scroll down a little bit, on the right-hand side, you'll see a box that talks about bills. And you'll be able to see your first bill, as I say, late Friday, early Saturday morning. You'll be able to see the bill if you're a registered student. That bill will have in the upper right-hand corner the student's name, the date, because it is a point in time. It is not a dynamic bill. It does not change. That bill is a snapshot in time. So you'll see the date, the student's ID number. You'll see a link to the frequently asked questions on the Bursar's website that you can click to. In the body of it, you're going to see the term on the left-hand side, your left over here, the term of the semester, a description of what it is. So typically it'll be undergraduate tuition. It'll be health insurance automatic fee. It'll be student activity fee. It'll be Fenwick Place for the dorm room. It'll be the Xavier White meal plan. So there'll be a meal plan if that's what you order. So you're going to see a list of all of the descriptions of what the charges are. You're also going to see in these first two bills, the one for July 15th and August 15th, something called anticipated financial aid or anticipated credits. So these are credits. These are financial aid things that we know about here in our office, that our financial aid office knows about. So you're going to be able to see what we know about, and if there's something we don't know about, then you better get with the financial aid office and let them know. So if, for instance, you're a recipient of the Dean's Award, but you don't see the Dean's Award on the bill, then you ought to call the financial aid office and say, where's the Dean's Award? And they'll get that on your account, if that's appropriate, and you'll see it on your next bill. So you should see the charges, the anticipated financial aid, because they can't, the financial aid office can't disperse that to your account until 10 days or less prior to the start of school. And you're going to see the net amount that's due. And if there is a balance due, that's where I look like this, then that's what you would either pay in full or break into the core payment plan. So that's where you go to look at the bill. I hope that answers your question about that.
And when you're talking about the e-bill, it'll be broken out by semester, not academic year, correct?
Correct. Yeah, good point. The bill that you would be receiving on July 15th is only for the fall semester. And so we bill the fall semester. July 15th is the big one. Miscellaneous charges for August, September, October, November. Come December, let me back up here. After the November 15th bill, which is the last bill for the fall semester, we're going to put charges on for the spring semester. So come the December 15th bill, that's going to be the first bill for the spring semester. And then the payment plan starts again for January, February, March, and April 1st. Again, a $50 enrollment fee. The best time to sign up for that is towards the end of November, before the first bill is generated, December 15th. If you wanted to wait, you could wait until after the December 1st payment is made. But for the most part, the fall semester should be paid in full by December 1st, by November 1st.
Okay. So Rico has a question and is wondering how payments are handled from student loan providers.
Okay, how payments are handled from student loan providers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're talking, Rico, if you're talking about payments that come into your Bursar account from, let's say, the Department of Education for your subsidized and unsubsidized loan, and you can type if you're in agreement with where I'm going on this, mm-hmm. and Sarah will be able to see this. If that's what you're talking about, it's like magic. It's amazing, because the financial aid office is integrated with the Department of Education, which is integrated with the FAFSA. So when you complete your FAFSA, that information is sent to the financial aid office, and they package your financial aid award. If they include loans, then they say, okay, we're going to put on your financial aid award letter Stafford loans. And once you see that you've been awarded Stafford loans, you go to studentloans.gov and you do the master promissory note and the entrance counseling, and come the end of August, right before school starts, the financial aid office will disperse that money onto your account. So you don't even touch your loan money unless it overpays your account, and then you're going to get that amount back in a refund. But that's how payments come onto your account from a loan provider. If you're talking about how do you make payments back on your loan, then you can contact the Department of Education. You can stop in at the financial aid office or email them and say, tell me who I contact to start paying my loans back early. But again, this goes to, if you're trying to pay it back early, I'd probably say continue to work at borrowing only the amount you need. You can always reduce the loans that financial aid office gives you. They have something called passive acceptance and active denial. So if you don't tell them not to give you the loan, they're going to give you the loan. Passive acceptance. You don't have to do anything to accept it, except that master promissory note and entrance counseling. But if you don't want the loan, it's best for you to email them and say, I don't want the loan, so that they can award that to somebody else.
To make sure that everyone is being notified of the bill, you have to be an authorized user, correct?
If the authorized user wants to be notified, or if the student wants a parent to be notified that a bill is produced, the student needs to make whoever that person is an authorized user.
And they can do that online or mail in a form, and then those will be listed on their account?
Well, it's a little different. There are two ways to become, if you want to call it an authorized user. In our office, we refer to it in two separate ways. If somebody signs a FERPA form, which hopefully is going to be online, as I mentioned, in the next couple of days on the road to Xavier, or you can go to xavier.edu/Bursar and click on forms and see the hard copy, the PDF of the form, and get that into us. That form, we scan into your Bursar account. So if the person listed on that form calls us, stops in, or emails us, we're going to check to see if they have the right to the information. And if they do, we're going to give them that information. The authorized user is the online version of rights to your privacy. So by you, the student, giving rights to somebody else, online by signing them up to be an authorized user, then they have the ability to log in with their own username and password to that e-payment landing site to look at your balance, look at your bills, enroll you in a payment plan, and all those other things that we talked about. So those are two different ways. Our office, we love to see the FERPA form on the student's account, and we like to see the authorized user part done. But we will, if it's only one or the other, we will give the information out. If there's neither, then nobody's going to get information except for the student. Authorized user. I know what I was going to tell you is when you sign somebody up to be an authorized user, they're going to get their own unique username and password and an email telling them where to go to sign up. That email might go to a junk mail or to some people have a clutter box. It's going to probably come from no reply. So make sure that you tell whoever it is you're signing up as an authorized user to look for that email. Do not, is my recommendation, compromise your login credentials, your username and password with anybody, including your parents, because that's for you, and because they have their own unique username and password and can log in and see the same thing.
Sharing your Netflix password is now a federal crime, so don't share your Bursar account password either.
Really? You heard it here first.
All right, so Terrence is wondering, he says, to clarify, Xavier will have the online payment system for 529 plans available around July 15th.
I would say probably in the next 2 weeks, so it might be the week after July 15th. But certainly before the first payment is due, if all goes well. Okay. And I will say that I've been told that there are a whole bunch of 529 plans listed on this drop-down box that you can, and hopefully yours is there. But if not, then you're going to have to go back to the way that it's done now, where you contact the plan and tell them to send us a check for X amount of dollars.
Okay.
If you have outside scholarships from Kiwanis, PTA, high school, whatever, send them to the Bursar's office now. If all you have is letters saying a scholarship is going to be coming, send that to our office. Don't send it to financial aid, send it to us. We process those kinds of scholarship payments. Every day we don't go home if a scholarship payment is waiting to be posted. We post them every day.
All right, well, Paula is wondering if there is a discount for paying in full.
Paula, is there a discount for paying in full? No, there isn't. Yeah. No.
If someone sends in a private scholarship after that first eBill is published, when will they see that reflected?
Great question. You send in a scholarship after the eBill is published on the 15th. Let's say we get it on the 20th. We receive it on the 20th. We're going to post it to your Bursar account on the 20th. You're going to be able to go into that link that says click here to look at transactions since your last eBill, and you'll be able to see the payment there. Then when the bill is published on August 15th, all of those transactions that are being held there will roll up into the bill. So you'll be able to see it right away through that link, and then you'll see it again when the bill is published the next month.
But make that payment.
Make that payment.
All right, we have a question from an international student.
Okay.
Who says, I'm an international student from Ghana and want to enroll on the payment plan. Can I do that when I get to the US between the 7th and 10th of August, since I have no way of making the payment from my home country?
I would say that you could do that. You could wait till then. What I'm thinking about is we go through a class cancellation process on August 8th for people who have registered for classes prior to July 15th and received a bill on July 15th. International students go through a class cancellation on September 6th or 7th. So I would say that yes, you should be able to be okay with that, but I guess I'm just wondering, if you hop online, you should be able to make an online payment. You can sign up for a payment plan, you can make an online payment. You would have to have a domestic checking account or savings account to make that payment from, or you'd have to have a credit card to make that payment. So if you didn't want to wait until August when you came to the States, you could do it now online, as I said, with a domestic checking or savings account or a credit card that you might have it from your own country.
Henry, can Solomon call the Bursar's office tomorrow to find out what is going on his account?
Solomon, you call, bring it on. We are more than happy to help you figure that out. However, I wonder why you're a little concerned, why you're worried about what's going on. There could be some crazy things going on. So, yes, call. You can talk to any one of us that answers the phone. Makila is a student worker, and she does an excellent job. She's probably going to be the number one person to answer the phone, but any of us can help you out. So call, yeah. 513-745-3435. That's 513-745-3435. Operators are not standing by right now. We open up at 8:30 Eastern time.
Very nice. So our next question is, if we get a loan for the entire year, but only a semester is expected, will that overage get refunded or applied to the next semester?
Okay.
Which you talked a little bit about, but sounds
Right.
like we need some clarification.
Okay. It depends sometimes on the loan, but typically, I will say the vast majority of the time, any lender who is going to be giving money to a student for an academic year is going to do it like this. They're going to say, how much money do you need? And you're going to say $25,000. Well, they may not ask the question, is that for the semester or for the whole year? Most lenders will want to know the amount for the whole year. So go ahead and tell them the amount for the whole year. And typically what happens is half of that money will come to the university through the financial aid office in July for the fall semester or whenever the loan gets processed. And the other half will be sent at the start or right before the beginning of the spring semester. So all of that is managed by the lender. In your conversation with them, or maybe it's something that you check off if you're doing it online, you tell them, I want half of it now and half of it for the spring semester. That is the best way to go. Do it that way. If for some reason everything comes to us in one fell swoop, then that's dangerous, because what's not used and what gets overpaid is going to go back to my customer, and you know who my customer is. It's the student. So while that gives the opportunity for the student to manage their own money or the parents' money from a loan, it's very risky. I would just make sure that that money stays at the university if it has to be done that way. Likewise, with an outside scholarship, we sometimes get a scholarship for $1,000 that says, put $500 towards the fall and $500 towards the spring, but they send only one check for $1,000. Well, we have no way of tearing the check in half and saving $500 now and doing $500 later. So we post it all to the fall semester. Whether it gets posted now or posted half and half, doesn't really matter. Pay now, pay later, it all comes out of the wash. So that's what we do with our outside scholarships.
So we do have another question that asks if authorized online users have access to grades.
The answer to that, authorized users do not have online access to grades. The registrar's office, which manages grades and the academic information, they don't even have a FERPA release form. So they will not release anything to anybody unless the person inquiring is the student. It's really up to the student to keep the parent informed of their grades, of their classes. Going online through that pay bill icon has no information about grades. I'm trying to think if it has, yeah, it doesn't even show what the class is. So, no.
I know you had mentioned before that the eBill is kind of a static snapshot in time. Keith is wondering if eBills are refreshed between July 15th and August 1st if something changes.
Keith, static, dude, it's a PDF. It's not going to change. Right when you log into that e-payment site, you're going to see on the right-hand side where you can view bills. Read that little paragraph there about bills. It says bills are static PDFs. They do not change. So you can have 150 transactions from July 16th to August 1st, or until the next bill is published, August 14th, the day before the bill is published. You can have 1,000 transactions, and that bill that was generated on July 15th will not change. Any change to your account after a bill is produced is going to be seen on that link that's on the left-hand side that says see transactions since your last eBill. That's where you're going to see any transactions that have taken place since your last eBill.
Great. So one of the things you talked about is being a responsible student, and if you are working on campus and you have work study, how is that work study then get distributed to the student, and how can they apply that to the Bursar account?
Great. Some people believe that if you're awarded federal work study, that it's just money that's going to fall into your lap and it's going to automatically go against the balance on your Bursar account. That is not true. The federal work study program, the university has only so much federal work study to pass around. And if you happen to be somebody who has been awarded federal work study, all that means is you can dress nicely on the first day of school, and you can go to the job fair that's going to be advertised, and you can go from table to table to table to table with your resume and try and get a job in an office that on campus that you have an interest in working for. And if you get that job, then you're going to meet your supervisor, and you're going to be trained in that job, and you're going to be working hours at that job, typically 10 hours a week, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, and you will earn a paycheck as a result of that. That paycheck will be given to you. You can get it in the form of a paper check, or you can sign up and have it automatically deposited to your checking account. You can also, I understand it, I'm not 100% sure, but pretty sure, that you can take part of that check and have it go to your Bursar account and part of it go to your checking account. So it's just like having a job. Once you get that paycheck, it's up to you what you do with it. Are you going to buy pizza and buy your buddies a ton of software or hardware, Xbox? You get to decide all of that. But the money that you get from federal work study is just from a job. What you do with it is your decision. We hope, like I said early on in the broadcast, that you're going to take responsibility, have some skin in the game, and help your parents or whomever help to pay down your balance so that you're borrowing less because you're paying more. So quiet out there.
I know. I was going to say we have time for one more question. So let's find a good one.
And I'm happy to stay longer if the masses want to stay.
Okay. Sounds good.
I know I talked long, right? Didn't I, Sarah?
You did, but it's all good information.
Very important.
It's very important information. Let's see here. So our the international student that had asked about the question previously.
Rico.
What?
What's his name? Rico?
Gideon.
Oh, this is somebody.
Yep.
We can answer that.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say he was basically asking, saying that he wanted to pay in person versus online.
Okay. Pay in person, you can pay in person.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
When he gets here.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
pay attention to your Xavier email. As I say, for international students, their cancellation is going to be beginning of September, so you're going to be here long before that. So you should be in great shape. But if you happen to get a notice in your Xavier email box that you're at risk of cancellation, best thing to do is contact the international office and say, hey, what's going on? I'm international, and cancel me later, but by then you'll pay.
Sounds good. And Mike asked, he said, last question, Henry, are you playing Pokemon Go? Very nice.
My Pokemon this is really just my cheat sheet of what to talk about. I don't know that I could play Pokemon if I had the app. I don't know anything about it, but I do know that people have to walk around and get Pokemons throughout wherever it is. I heard somebody had to get onto a canoe, paddle into the center of a creek, into a small river, and get their Pokemon.
Well, we found Pokemon in the Musketeer mezzanine in Fenwick Place today.
Are you serious?
In some of the different residence halls, there are a couple Pokemon gyms on our campus. So if you get here or if you're taking a tour shortly, have your app open. We'll be ready to go.
Wow, that's amazing.
One was found in the library today.
Once it's there, and it's probably there for anybody. It's unlimited Pokemon. I hope I've answered your questions. If you would take a minute right now, I don't know how many people are left online. Half?
About 43.
43 people. Of the 43 people who were there, if you could just jot a quick note to Sarah right now and say yes or no. If the answer is yes, all your questions have been answered right now and you're doing okay, and you know where to go to take responsibility to get them, or no, you need a little bit more help. That'll give me an idea as to if we shut down right now or if we continue for a few more minutes or I just refer you to our office.
Okay.
So
we've got a yes and a mostly yeses.
Okay.
Let's see here. So Gideon has more questions, an international student, who says, as an international student, can I apply for student loans?
I'm sending you a separate email, so we're going to get you answered.
Okay, sounds good. Gavin is wondering, what is the typical wage for federal work study? I know you were talking about work study earlier.
Federal work study, I think it's minimum wage, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And I don't know what that is right now.
Okay. Sounds good. But other than that, we have all yeses.
I think it is, but don't swear to me on that. You could go to, there's a student worker website through Career Services. A woman by the name of Vicki Cleary is in charge of student workers and student worker supervisors. And you could ask what the going rate is for federal work study.
Okay.
Frequently asked questions on the Bursar's website, that'll help. I can't encourage you enough to study hard your first year and be careful about balancing your social life with your study life, and keep your GPA up. Financial aid offices and parents love to invest in good students, not those who are squandering the opportunity that they have here. And if you have questions, you can always email our office at xavier.bursar@xavier.edu. Claire and Liz and Mason, all great people there in our office. We're happy to help you.
And in addition to that, Tyler is typing in both mine and his, our Xavier email addresses. So if anyone has any, so we had some people that had more specific questions that would be probably better addressed individually. So you're more than welcome to reach out to any of the three of us, and we are more than happy to kind of work with you on a more individual basis. But in addition to that, as we wrap things up, just wanted to let everybody know that this session was recorded, as all of our Muskie chats are, and it will be posted on the Road to Xavier website at the latest by tomorrow afternoon. So if you forgot about something or anything like that, you're more than welcome to kind of check back in tomorrow or really at any point in time between now and August. But other than that, thanks for joining us this evening.
It'll be a great time when you get here. See you in 6 weeks, I think.
I know.
It's not that long.
I know. I can't believe it.
It's pretty amazing.
Sounds good. But have a great night, everyone, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Henry.